is the weekend edition of Daily Tech Headlines for the week ending Friday, September 5th, 2025. I'm Sarah Lane. Let's catch up on a bit of breaking news and essential news over the past several days. Anthropic agreed to pay at least $1.5 billion to authors in what lawyers say is the largest copyright settlement in U.S. history, averaging about $3,000 per book. The deal still needs court approval, but requires Anthropic to destroy pirated files that it used and only covers past claims, leaving future disputes open. The case stems from allegations that Anthropic trained its models on copyrighted books without permission. The European Commission fined Google 2.95 billion euros for abusing its dominance in the adtech market by favoring its own services. Regulators also ordered Google to stop self-preferencing and adopt measures to avoid conflicts of interest. Google says it will appeal, adding that the ruling harms European businesses. This marks Google's fourth EU antitrust fine since 2017. Separately, France's data watchdog fined Google 325 million euros for violating consent and cookie rules. The U.S. president said Friday there should be a trade probe over these rulings. Speaking of the U.S., on Tuesday, D.C. District Court Judge Amit Mehta ruled that Google will not have to sell its Chrome browser or Android OS in the antitrust case brought forth by the Department of Justice back in 2020. Google cannot engage in exclusive contracts for Google Search, Chrome, or Gemini, but it can still offer payments to distributors for default placement. Phone manufacturers will be free to preload and promote alternative search engines, browsers, and AI assistants along Google offerings. Lenovo unveiled the Legion Go 2, a handheld gaming PC launching in October and starting at $1,099. This bigger version also has a bigger battery, redesigned detachable controllers, and an 8.8-inch 1920 by 1200 OLED screen. It also uses AMD's new Ryzen Z2 or Z2 Extreme chips, with configs up to 32 gigabytes RAM and 2 terabytes of storage. The Legion Go 2 will also get Microsoft's Xbox full-screen Windows experience in spring of 2026, though no SteamOS version is planned. Apple's September 9th self-proclaimed jaw-dropping event is rumored to debut 4 iPhone 17 models, including an ultra-thin iPhone 17 Air, plus the Apple Watch Series 11, Apple Watch Ultra 3, and AirPods Pro 3. Possible extras include a new Apple TV 4K, a new HomePod, and possibly a Vision Pro Lite. Pre-orders for what does get announced are expected to start September 12th, with releases as soon as September 19th. The Financial Times reported Friday that OpenAI plans to start producing its own AI chips in 2026 in partnership with Broadcom. These would be internal chips and not for sale. This follows previous reports of OpenAI exploring proprietary chip development due to GPU shortages. CEO Sam Altman announced these changes after GPT-5's release, saying that this would prioritize paid ChatGPT users and double OpenAI's compute fleet. XPUs, as they're known, help mitigate shortages and save costs, and are expected to gain significant AI market share, although NVIDIA is still the market leader for now. Nepal blocked platforms, including Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, WeChat, and Reddit, after failure to comply with a new law requiring social media companies to register locally, providing a contact person, and setting up self-regulation. TikTok, Viber, and a few others that are registered are still up in Nepal. The Nepali government says this is meant to curb hate speech and cybercrime. The Digital Rights Nepal, the Federation of Nepali Journalists, and the Committee to Protect Journalists all say it's censorship and violates basic rights. Instagram launched its first dedicated iPad app on Wednesday, a mere, checks notes, 15 years after Instagram's debut back in 2010. The app works differently than the mobile and even desktop experiences, though, opening directly to a Reels feed. Stories are still at the top, and then there's a following tab which takes you to those OG photo feeds. The bigger display shows comments beside videos and a split-screen DM inbox. Meta says this design is also coming to Android tablets. On Friday, TikTok announced it has more than 200 million monthly users in Europe, a jump from 175 million last year. So, around 1 in 3 European citizens in 32 countries now use the short video app. Globally, ByteDance-owned TikTok has over 1 billion monthly users, showcasing its rapid growth, particularly among teens. Waymo announced Tuesday that Seattle and Denver are its 2 new test cities in the U.S. beginning this fall. These tests are small for now, with around a dozen vehicles in each city, with safety drivers present behind the wheels of the Zeekr RT and Jaguar I-Pace SUVs. Last week, Waymo also announced more than 2,000 robotaxis across the U.S., with tests in more cities in 2026. Google said claims that 2.5 billion Gmail users were at risk from a major attack were simply not true, calling them entirely false. The story, which gained ground last weekend, appears to have come from a Salesforce-related breach tied to shiny hunters, which led to phishing and vishing attacks. Google says Gmail itself was never compromised, adding that its protections block 99.9% of such threats and urged users to remain vigilant against scams. Warner Brothers filed a copyright lawsuit against Midjourney, accusing it of letting users generate images and videos of characters like Superman, Batman, and Bugs Bunny without authorization. Warner says Midjourney lifted protections against infringing content and knowingly profited from it, and is now seeking damages, profit returns, and an injunction. You may recall the case follows a suit by Disney and Universal back in June over similar claims, which Midjourney has argued fall under fair use. For more analysis of the tech news of the day, subscribe to dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find show notes and links to all these headlines there as well. Thank you for listening. I'm Sarah Lane. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday.